Dr. Jeff Sadow from LSU Shreveport, political science guy. How are you this morning? Thank you for taking time.
Good, thanks. How about yourselves?
Erin is totally freaked out by the committee assignments that Senator John Kennedy got. He's on Appropriations and Judiciary and Small Business and a whole list of money-oriented things. Were you surprised by that? Is that unusual?
No, there's only 100 senators, and there are 16 or so committees, permanent standing committees, so with several members at a minimum. So they have to have a lot of assignments. You end up getting a lot of committees, a lot of subcommittees, and, of course, Kennedy's state treasurer for the last 16 or so years, so it makes sense that his assignments would gravitate towards those money-oriented committees.
Jeff, which one could have the biggest impact on Louisiana?
Well, certainly anything having to do with the budget and appropriations is always good because it allows that member to be able to forward the state's concerns to the rest of the committee and to the Senate as a whole. That makes it just a lot easier than if you're not on the committee and you're trying to get something going. As a member, it's just that there's just a likelihood of that much more attention being given to whatever that particular issue is.
Let me ask you another thing. We spoke with Mr. Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, Congressman Johnson. They're very optimistic about repealing Obamacare and cutting out a lot of the government bureaucracy. Are they in for kind of a surprise and, thinking we're going to hit the ground running, we're going to get these things done? Are they kind of in for sticker shock when things get moving, they realize how slow it really is going to be?
It is typically difficult to get legislation or anything through Congress or through the process, but it can be done expeditiously. If we look back in 1995 with the Contract with America, 10 items in 100 days, and basically that's what was done in the House of Representatives, which of course does move a little quicker than the Senate. But if the will is there, it's possible, and certainly since Republicans for 6 years now have been campaigning against the idea of the Affordable Care Act, then they should have plenty of motivation and desire to be able to get that done fairly quickly.
Republicans control the Senate. Well, let's talk about the Senate for now. Republicans control the Senate, but how much of what they want to do is going to Democrats try to put the brakes on by filibuster? Explain that to folks how that'll work.
Well, in the Senate, for ordinary business to occur, you have to have at least essentially 60 members of the 100 willing to let business proceed. Otherwise, they can stop it through a process called a filibuster or things like it. However, there's also another couple special rules in place. One is for most appointments to government and the judiciary. Those take only a simple majority. And then secondly, when you're dealing with policies that are connected to the spending of money somehow, which is an awful lot of stuff, and that includes Obamacare.
I was going to say, pardon me, that was I don't want to say trick, but that was the way the Democrats on a 51-49 vote were able to pass Obamacare, was because they said, well, it's budgetary. And Schumer, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, Democrat senator from New York said, we will rue the day that we ever used that tactic to get it passed.
Yeah, they had to, because as people may recall, there was a special election in Massachusetts that lopped their majority down to 59, so they couldn't beat a filibuster at that point. So they had to go through this, what's called a reconciliation process, which only requires a simple majority. But what you do by that, you can undo by that, and so that's the strategy that the Republicans are taking.
Let's back up a second to the Judiciary Committee, and Senator Kennedy is also on that. That's step one toward getting Supreme Court justice. What are you hearing any names? I know that there was the rumor, and we talked about it with Mr. John, about President Obama trying to push through a recess appointment with Garland, but that obviously is going to go nowhere. What names do you hear that people might be familiar with, or is it going to be somebody who's totally, at least to the pedestrian American, out of the blue?
Well, the pedestrian American is going to be out of the blue. Some months ago during the campaign, President-elect Trump put out a list of 21 individuals that he would consider, that he would pick from. He basically said to be on the Supreme Court. So I think we can concentrate on that list. I think a couple people may have said they weren't entirely interested in that who are on the list, but I think most would be. And so, I think that's the place to start from. And it's, again, basically a collection of mostly people already in the federal judiciary at lower levels, but obviously not household names. And I mean, well, hardly, again, the most people sitting in the American judiciary aren't going to be household names, but somebody will be as soon as he, she, is nominated.
Jeff, as the political science expert, what are you watching closely? What is most intriguing to you for this 115th Congress?
Well, certainly the direction that, really not so much Congress, since Congress has been in the hands of the Republicans, but just the policy direction that's going to come from it, because now instead of 50 votes to do something to Obamacare, to repeal it in its entirety or part of it, after 50 of those votes went nowhere because of presidential vetoes or Senate inaction, well, now suddenly it's going to go through. So it's going to be interesting to see, now that we know for certainty that something's going to happen, what that end product is going to be, not just in terms of the Affordable Care Act, but a host of other things. I think we've already gotten signals, some of the comments made about some regulatory rollbacks in the area of environment and finance. So it's going to be interesting to see just exactly what these products are going to look like after so many years of speculation.